Welcome to the Make It Happen podcast, where we talk to cool people doing cool things. It's produced and created by Mike Vanderpool, and I'm his special projects guest host, Vince Croce. Today, we have a cool person that is doing a lot for Toledo, and I'm very happy to introduce her, Cheryl Hardy, right here live. Cheryl, before we go into what you're doing about Toledo, I want you to give a little background of what you've been doing over the last few years, and specifically a couple little hills I've heard you've climbed. Share that. This is something I find fascinating about
I
Cheryl.
didn't know where you were going, so I was like, oh, I hope I know the answer to this. I think I can answer this. Well, thank you, Vince, and thank you for having me on the podcast. This is a great opportunity to talk about Toledo, which is a subject that I know both you and I love, and we share a lot of very, very similar thoughts about what we hope will happen for Toledo. My background a little bit, I have been in business for almost 30 years now, so doing mostly advertising agency things, marketing, social media, public relations, everything kind of mixed together. So I'm kind of like the little cement mixer, throw it all in there, mix it all up, and then we pop out a great marketing strategy. The last few years, I've been working mainly for municipalities. We started with Levis Commons here in Perrysburg, and then went down to Austin, Texas, did some more similar development work, then went to the Cincinnati, Dayton area, did some more similar development work. And the municipalities kind of started calling and saying, hey, we're just a big development. Can you do that for us? And so I don't know, but we could try. And so in the Dayton and Cincinnati market, I had several different municipalities I started working with. And uh, some circumstances made it possible for me to come home and move back to Toledo about a year and a half ago. And so now I get to bring my skill set in revitalizing and or energizing community engagement, activation. There's lots of different words for it. You know, marketing words aren't like doctors' terms. They're a little bit more gray in matter. So there's all kinds of terms that fall into my mixer, and we can put that to work for Toledo. And I was very lucky to get the opportunity to do that. So here I am. And just before I came here, to answer your second question, I climbed 2 of the 7 summits. I've climbed 14, 15, 16 mountains, something like that. But 2 of the 7 summits, and they were both trips of a lifetime. So I don't know how a person gets to be so lucky to have multiple trips of a lifetime in one, but I am. So
And Cheryl,
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, you did those pretty much on your own with just some support staff. This wasn't like, hey, I got together with 6 friends.
Yeah,
It-
I'm a solo hiker. All of my mountains have been solo. I did one, the Grand Teton. I did take a group of women as a mentor program, and we went and we climbed it. But all of the rest of my mountain climbing has been solo. There's no one else silly enough that wants to go do it with me here in Ohio. But you're welcome anytime, Vince. You
Well,
change your mind.
and I pulled my hamstring, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it. But Cheryl, the way I got to do it, it's kind of funny. There's a big event that
Mhm.
just got done a couple weeks ago, Acoustics for Autism, and I introduced some bands on the
Right.
Conant Street stage. It was another cold day in March, but still warm of music and fun.
Right.
You called me a couple weeks later
Did.
and said, "Hey, Vince, I'm in charge of Party in the Park in downtown Toledo, and
Yes.
so I introduced some bands and talking about
Yes.
sponsors.
Yes.
Would you come on down and be the MC for that?" So
Right.
that's how I got to know you.
Right.
But it wasn't just like you were just, "Hey, I'm putting a couple bands on stage." You had this vision of a different Party in the Park than we had been used to. Those have been around for decades, like myself. Uh, Tell us a little bit more about how your vision for that, how you got a lot of collaboration
Right.
going and
Right.
presented that to the public.
Well, first I have to say that my recollection of meeting you was a little different. I'm on the street selling beer tickets,
Yeah.
and they give this guy a microphone, and so I'm competing with the microphone to sell beer tickets, right? We're making money for the kids, and I'm competing with the microphone. No, I'm teasing, but that is true. I was there selling beer tickets, and I was like, this guy is great. How do I get him? So after things calmed down, I called Nicole, and super kudos to Nicole for acoustics, because as you know, as I know, as everybody in the city knows, amazing, amazing, amazing effort that she puts into that, and everybody, all of us, all 500 volunteers that she manages, and we all show up. But I did track her down. I said, hey, I want that guy. Who was that guy? And we did track you down because I think you did an amazing job. So So what I often do when I come to a city is I start with some really great people, right? Because everything is people. It's really that it's not an organization's event. It's not necessarily any one individual's event. It is about having good people together who care about a mission. And so I knew you were a good MC. I had no idea that your drive for Toledo and that your love of what you're doing and your love for creating economic development was as deep as it was. We got lucky with that one. So that's a major bonus and major kudos to you for all that you do and the passion and enthusiasm with which you do it. It's a very rare thing. But we went and got a lot of people together and said, what does the city need? So when I came back to town, I sat down with Paul Toth from Connect Toledo. Paul and I have known each other from the Loves Commons days. And I was actually with Nicole Corey, and we were chatting about some things happening downtown and how some things might need to change a little bit to make them work. And afterwards, he said, when did you get all of this municipal experience and all this event activation experience? And I gave him a little bit of background. He said, we are looking to do exactly that. It's one of our next charges for downtown. We'd maybe like you to be involved. And I said, here's the thing, Paul. I just moved back to town. I don't have a pulse on downtown. I want a month or two to go and talk to a bunch of people. I want to talk to the people in town that help make things happen. And I want to find out from them what they think we need, because it isn't about what I think we need. It's about what the community actually needs. And so when I did that, what I came back with was we needed more consistency in some of the activities that were happening downtown. And we needed them to be somewhat large enough that they drew people, but also small enough that it could be managed and then it could be funded. Because what ProMedica did was fantastic, but it wasn't sustainable financially. And frankly, the amount of people and the resources that it takes to do those national concerts. And our music world simply doesn't work the same way as did in the 80s. And so I appreciate that you said we've changed Party of the Park for the better, because we do get a lot of requests, bring back how we did it before. And oh my gosh, I'd be the first person who would love to bring it back from the 80s. But our music system just doesn't work that way anymore. So we went and talked to a bunch of people, find out what we needed. We needed some more consistency. It was clear that music, food, cocktails, that's a very nice combination to get people downtown. And how do we do that and drive economic development? So coming from the real estate development world, you don't really create events or create programs in that world without some kind of ROI, without some kind of return on investments. Developers just, they aren't really all about just putting money out there, because it's their money they're spending. So all of the events that I've been doing for years were about how do we get a return on that investment? How do we make it worth it for the shops, the businesses, the organizations that are in that development or then later in that municipality? And how do we bring that municipality together to make it a community event? So one of the things that I say often is the answer is always yes. Can we get involved in this? Yes. It might be yes if, it might be yes but, it might be yes, right? There might be something after it that says, well, yes, you can, if we can do this, if we can raise money, if we can find the land, if we can get the permit, if, right? But the answer is always to be inclusive and say, yes, if we can make this work, let's do it. So you go into this event programming or this activation programming with an economic development mindset. So that's a really important acknowledgement of a first step. The decisions that we make, especially the first year, it's a little bit different in the second year, but still very similar. We're based on how do we get the best economic development driver that we can. So I will use this only to show what a different type of decision-making skill set might look like. Some programming is done for cultural reasons. Some programming is done for name recognition reasons. Some programming is done for financial reasons, to actually make money. So ours is to drive economic development in the downtown area. So the decision-making looks a little bit different. So you go into it with an economic development mindset. How do we get people down here, and how do we get them to spend money down here? Because it isn't just about getting people to go to an event. That's great, and we need that to happen. But what we really need is for people to come downtown, go to a restaurant, have dinner, have a couple of drinks, then go to an event, walk, by the way, Maybe they'll stop and get another drink on the way. Maybe they'll stop and buy something. Maybe they'll stop and, pay for some entertainment and then go to the event. And then on their way back, they stop somewhere. Again, maybe they see some live music in a bar. Maybe they stop at a restaurant. Maybe they get an appetizer. Maybe they're so hungry, whatever it is. We need it not to be drive into downtown, park, go to event, get back in your car and go home. We need downtown to become a place where people hang out. And so we started to think about what kind of programming can we do? How do we move in that direction, and how do we become consistent with it? Because consistency is a big deal. So we looked at Party in the Park and we said that's cheating a little bit, and we're okay with that because it's such a great brand, it's such a great name, it's such nostalgic memories. When everybody talks about Party in the Park, everybody has a story. Oh, I remember when, or my dad, or my mom, or this band. We remember when. So we said there's nothing wrong with cheating a little bit by bringing back the Party in the Park name. And then we created some consistency with it's going to be every Friday night through summer. That's really important. So people always know if there's something going on. And then we took it a step further. And this was a little bit more of a sell in the beginning. It's an easy sell now that people have seen it. They said, let's go all local, right? Let's do it with local bands. Toledo has a music scene that can do that. Not every city has a music scene with this level of talent. And I've been there. I'm telling you, it does not happen everywhere. We are very, very lucky in Toledo. And it was a bit of a sell because people love the national bands. There's no doubt about that. We still hear that. And I'd love to bring them here when we can fund that. And people want what they know, right? So they did with that. And ProMedica set a high bar. So it's kind of a tough sell to let's go all local. Well, once people saw the lineup, I think, and once they realized that all of that money is now staying here instead of leaving with the national band or leaving with the national production, not that none of it stays here, it's just that there's a good portion of it that leaves. I think people started to drink the Kool-Aid. They started to buy in and understand that it does matter. That money that we are spending, whether it's $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, do you want it to stay here or do you want it to leave? And so creating Party in the Park, making it local, making it economic development based, so that's how we're making our decisions, and then turning it over to the community and not making it, I can tell you the people who funded it, but which organization ran it? I hope you don't know. I hope nobody knows because I want it should be a community-based event. You should come down there and feel like this is my place. I had a say in who was coming here. I answered the survey. I went in on social. I talked to Cheryl at the stage. I talked to Melissa. I talked to Vince, right? I talked to these people and they shook my hand and they looked me in the eye and they said, I hear you. And this year we're doing a lot of those things because we listen to those people. It should be the community's event, not any one organization. So that was really where we started. And we said, well, let's try it. And it worked.
Well, I commend you on reaching out to the community first. What do we need?
Yeah.
What worked before? Even
Sure.
if it's something as simple as a name,
Right.
and then developing something. You mentioned the economic development. You had shared with me some things. There was some quantifiable results
Sure.
on what you look at. What does good look like? Was this worth it? Did the hypothesis come out? Can you share?
Great question. And of course, when you're basing all of your strategy on economic development, you better have results to say. Well, we were able, it's a little bit on the creepy side, but they track your digital data. So we were able to geofence the park. So we don't do all of downtown, but we geofence the park so that we know what the digital footprint is when people come in and out. So we can look at some demographics, look at some psychographics, and we can make some assumptions. They are still assumptions, but they're pretty good assumptions based on what people are spending and where they're going before and after they get to the park. So our hope was that we would get 2,000 people on average downtown on Friday nights in the park, and that they would spend an average of $35 per person. So it was a very reasonable goal. And if that happened, we were going to put just about $1 million back into the economy. That was kind of roughly the way we figured it out, give or take a little bit. What ended up happening is we averaged about 4,500 with our max being about 7,000 people for an event. And our minimum was, we did have a rain out, but we still had 1,200 people in the park. So, right, you were there. It was unbelievable. People sat out in the rain hoping that they were going to play. And, that is a testament to how tough our Toledoans are. They will come out and they will support their local music, which I love. So our low was 1,200, our high was 7,000. And we ended up putting in roughly $1.5 million back into the economy. So people spent more money than we had anticipated they would spend out. And 80% of the people that came down said that they went somewhere before or after they went to the event. And that was the real winner. It's not quantifiable for us, which just means we put in more than 1.5 because they went somewhere else and they spend money. And that's the real win here, is when we are consistently bringing people down here on Friday nights. Yes, we want them to come to the park. Yes, we want them to buy a beer down the park. That helps us continue these events. However, a healthy downtown is a healthy region. So we want them coming downtown on Friday night, then they get used to it. Maybe they come on Saturday night, they find their favorite restaurant, and now they're down here on Wednesday night. Maybe they get space down here, they move their business down here, or maybe they get a loft and they end up living down here.
No.
That is truly how we're trying to help drive. Now, it's a long reach from putting Distant Cousins and Arctic Clam up on a stage to getting people to move their business and their offices downtown. But it is actually happening. I mean, we've already seen it happen. 424, our social media people, moved their office downtown. And now, how many of them live downtown and how many are looking at moving downtown? I mean, it does actually happen. Once you get sucked in to the love of downtown and the momentum and the things that are happening down here, it's easy to see yourself working down here and living down here. People haven't been down here in 10 years and they come down and they say, wow, that was amazing. Yeah, that's kind of the point.
Well, Cheryl, this sounds like a good time because our producer got very excited when you used the term geofencing.
Oh, boy.
Because that's like a tech term, and he's working towards becoming the director of innovation here in Toledo. So let's take a moment, go to a brief commercial message, and we'll come right back. I've got a new title for you.
Oh, boy.
Hey folks, thank you for checking out the podcast. We're going to take a quick break to thank one of our sponsors because around here in Northwest Ohio, we believe in hard work. But we also know work shouldn't be harder than it has to be. Let me tell you about a local AI consulting and implementation team, Actual Reality Technologies. If you're a business owner who hates spending nights and weekends buried in spreadsheets, reports, and paperwork that should already be done, or if your people are stuck doing the same repetitive tasks over and over instead of focusing on the work that actually moves the business forward, that's where Actual Reality Technologies comes in. They build smart systems that automate your processes, monitor your operations, and surface answers without adding more work to your team. And they're doing it right here in Toledo, building technology in and for Northwest Ohio, helping local businesses run safer, smoother, and smarter. So if you've got processes you want to automate, the problems you need solved, give them a call. Actual Reality Technologies, helping our community work smarter. You can hit them up at www.actualreality.tech. Let's get back to the Make It Happen podcast.
All right, we are back here with Cheryl Hardy. And Cheryl, you shared how you did such a great job and your team and all the collaborators with Party in the Park this year. You recently had a press conference talking about let's take things to the next level. And I want you to know, just as I've promoted Mike to Director of Innovation, with everything you're doing, you are now the Director of Activation.
Oh, I like this.
Yes.
All right.
So talk about the
Sure.
view of activation in 2026 here.
Right. Well, when we came in 2025 and started Party in the Park, obviously we needed a whole lot of help. So, the city was involved, the county, Destination Toledo, DTID, Connect Toledo. It took everybody, right? It took ProMedica, J&M, everybody that's down there. It took everybody to get it done. So what I learned was that everybody appreciated each other, but nobody really knew what each other was doing. Or they were cross-marketing, but not with intent. So, we know about this, so we're going to put it out there for you. But there wasn't like a tie-in. So I said, what if we could all sit down at the same table, look at all of our calendars collectively, and decide, oh, you know what? There's some cross-promotional efforts that would work here. What if Party in the Park gets done at 9:30 and Hensville is having a concert that starts at 9:30? Why would we not promote that and cross-market that? And it happened organically a little bit, but not to an extent of what happens if you get everybody around the table and create a calendar that's actually with intent for that. So we did that, and we went to another level, and I hope that this comes out the way it's intended. We took the executives out of it. The people who sat at the table were the marketing people doing the work and making the things happen. And it was everyone respected what each other did and their event. So what I'm good at is not necessarily what Callie's good at or what Ash is good at or Karen or Mike or, Austin, any of the people that are sitting around the table. So it was very, very almost easy to delegate I'm going to take responsibility for this. I'm going to do that. We're going to do this. So it really didn't become any one organization's project. It was all of us. And then it became pretty simple to look at the calendars and say, well, what works together and what can we cross promote? Because nobody can forego what their own organization's goals are just to cross promote. But certainly there are times where it's like, oh, well, we would love to do this in cooperation with the Mud Hens or in cooperations with the Metropark or in cooperations with Party in the Park. That's how, that's how some of these things happen. So we all sat down. We looked at our calendars. We decided a few event dates that we seemed to be able to cross-activate in a logical fashion and then cross-promote. And we're now rolling that out to the public and saying, jump on board. Now, it's not perfect yet. Okay, so don't expect this glamorous, fantastic, we have a complete package that is, everybody's going to jump on and go, oh, excellent. We're not there yet. But there's no reason for us to sit on this information either and not start sharing it. So we have a calendar out there. It's called Destination Downtown. You can go to visittoledo.org/destination downtown, and you can see the event dates. We have put some loose themes around them. For example, Cosmic Baseball is coming. And by the way, it is not the Mud Hens that play Cosmic Baseball. I did not know that. So I'm kind of still a little bit new back to Toledo. So some of these things that happen, I get a little mixed up. But Cosmic Baseball happens at Fifth Third Field, but it is not the Mud Hens playing. But it is like glow-in-the-dark baseball. Well, what a fun thing. So that particular weekend is themed Toledo Glows. It's the same weekend as Jazz Fest. It's the same weekend as Pride. It's the same weekend as, there's so much happening that weekend. So if you're a bar, if you're a restaurant, if you're an organization and you want to do an event with something that glows, or if you want to do specialty drinks that glow, or if you want to put a glow in the dark sign or do a black light night or any of that, you can jump on board to that specific event weekend and be a part of that marketing and know that it is going to be activated. We are going to have people downtown. The Metroparks is doing a glow skate. There's so much happening that's the weekend to jump on board. And so each of those event weekends that we've chosen, we've loosely themed so that people can jump on board, or so that they just know to staff up, or so that they know that, hey, I would like to drive people from these things that are happening into my business because there are going to be people downtown that I can then take advantage of. That is step one. It is simply a foundation. We have a long way to go. We need to get a lot of input because, as you know, I like to go out and talk to people, but we have to start somewhere.
Yep.
So we're starting with getting the largest activators on one calendar, sharing that with our business and organizational community, and now we're going to work on how do we start pulling people in and how do we make that 52 weeks a year? Because that's what we need to do for a downtown. We're a ways from that, but that's where we're going.
Okay. So that's around activities that are going on, sometimes a little bigger. When I spoke with you once, you had a vision too of beyond just the activities. How do we activate downtown on a daily and evening basis? Is there a vision for that?
Sure.
What steps are being made for that?
Right. So there's a difference between events and activation. So activation can be any kind of activity. It can be recreation. It can be an event. It can simply be people walking around downtown. And so we need to get to the point where downtown is activated and not simply driven by events. People come downtown because, oh, the Riverwalk is beautiful and it's open. We're going to go take a walk. Well, let's go take a walk on the Riverwalk before we go to dinner downtown. We want them to choose downtown for those things. So there are all kinds of things that can create activation. We had talked about public art. Public art can create and does create activation. There are also events that create activation. We just don't want to rely on those forever. Downtown shops and restaurants being on create activity and activation. Well-lit streets, restrooms, clean, safe, all of those things promote activation. We are a very clean and safe city. If you've traveled around anywhere, you know how clean and how safe we are. Our numbers for safety continue to be just really, really, really positive. So kudos to Connect Toledo, DTID, and the City of Toledo, because they're really focused on creating clean and safe streets. But now we're looking to how do we move people around downtown? So if the Metroparks, for example, is going to do a glow skate, those are always very popular. They sell out. I think I said earlier, we don't want people coming downtown, getting out of their car, going to an event, getting back to their car, and leaving. How do we get them to park at Imagination Station, stop in and see, whatever activity is happening there, walk across the bridge because it's going to be completely accessible now with the new new renovations that they're doing. Go to the glow skate, walk back, stop at Ostrich Town, have a cocktail or dinner or whatever, and then go back to their car. Well, wayfinding helps. Well-lit areas help. What the Metroparks is doing with the Riverwalk and CAS help. All of those things help us connect that activity and create activation. And so that we're not relying only on events.
Okay, so
Yeah.
more of a constant
Yes.
theme going on.
Right.
Is there anything, Cheryl, that you see? You've got a lot of these organizations involved. They're at the table, they're coordinating, they're collaborating. Is there some hurdles that need to be overcome, or what's the next thing, or what would be your ask of government, businesses, individuals to move things forward?
I mean, there's always the two hurdles that there always are: people and money, right? You don't people only have so much time, and we only have so much money. So private funding is always something that's helpful for us to get where we need to go, and that private funding helps us get more people to do the things that we need to do. I don't want to over people it, of course, because you still want it to stay the community's events. It's also Toledo really needs to become a third party event downtown. So if people want to do an event downtown, call me.
Yep.
Call me and we can look at the entire calendar. We can see where it would be best to hold it. We can see where you might get the most activity. What can we connect it to that's already happening that might help drive things to events? We need to be the friendliest downtown to hold an event, and that will help us create that constant momentum of activity, which may still be generated by events, but that's how it works right now. That is what we have to do to start to get that activity.
You had mentioned where would be the best place. We're sitting here at the Loft
Yes.
419, and it's a space. There's the Mez. There's lots of spaces around town. Are you going to kind of keep an inventory of that, of what a space can accommodate, what services they provide,
Sure.
number of people? Is that
We
part of the plan?
I would definitely like to move toward that. Right now, it's in my head, which is not a great place for it. But that's where it is at the moment. And also we have city spaces. So it's, do you want to pay for your event, or do you want to just apply for a permit for your event? Are you going to have 5,000 people at your event? Do you have 50? So there's a wide range of where people can go. Sometimes we just say, hey, call the Blarney Event Center, or hey, call the Loft 419. Sometimes there's an obvious choice, and sometimes you need to think through it a little bit more. The bigger it gets, the fewer the choices, the less obvious it becomes. And the more important it is to get organized with some of the other things that are happening. So it really just depends. Ideally, we'd have an app for Toledo that would show where everything is, where all the restaurants are, parking maps, what's happening, so that you can, that's a ton of work. And when you need people and money, the next thing you need is somebody that can actually help make that happen. And so I would say that we're working towards all those things. Right now we have a website, and right now we have a bunch of people in some really great organizations that are dedicated to helping move this forward. And that's an amazing first step. Now we need the businesses to jump on board, and while there are going to be plenty of holes that people could say, oh, this isn't, and this isn't, and this isn't, that is all going to be true. What we need them to say is, okay, I see where you're going, and I'm going to jump on board because it's the right thing to do, and it's the thing that's going to push it forward. Once these businesses get on board and they see how it can work together, then the momentum is off and running, and nothing can stop it. And that's what we really need people to do right now.
And going back to something you said earlier, I really like that statement of say yes. And there may be a yes if.
Yes.
And that's, having lived here all my life, you were here, left a bit, and came back. I feel there is a sense of energy.
Yes. We have momentum.
And the people are there.
Very excited.
And I just feel there are some people on the sidelines
Yes.
with the money, in some cases, that if there is enough vision and
Right.
planning and success
Right.
that it could come. Do you get that feeling or the finger on the pulse of everything?
I agree. I mean, Toledo is there with what the Metroparks is investing, with what ProMedic had invested, with what Connect Toledo planned, with what the City of Toledo is doing, and Brandon Selhorst. I know you guys worked with him. He is amazing. What the county is doing. They're working together more than they ever have. The momentum is bigger than it ever has been. And Toledo is seeing that resurgence that, Milwaukee saw, that Detroit saw, that all these Rust Belt areas have seen. And now Toledo was right there, and then COVID hit, and that really, really hurt us at a really bad time. But we're there again. We are moving in the right direction. And yeah, I do think there are people that are sitting on the sidelines, not in a bad way, just in a is this the right time way? And where is the best place for me to put my money? And what kind of legacy do they want to leave? Do they want to invest in something for an ROI? Do they want to invest in something to create a legacy? And we are in legacy mode at the moment. We need to create economic development. We need to create drivers. We need to create momentum in a big way. And that's going to require some help from some private investors and from some talented people who maybe we can get an app made, and maybe we don't get it at full price.
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
Talk.
I know a guy.
He's connected people in the tech, and I think it would be great for his resume to become director of innovation if he helped it out with something like that. Cheryl, we've talked about a lot, and this is what I was so excited when I met you and working with you through the last year. You're
Yes.
inspiring, or as I like to say, vinspiring, because
Inspiring.
I am inspired to do more. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you feel needs to be out there?
Well,
Public.
I can't stress this enough. We've talked a lot about planning. We've talked a lot about economic development, how we make decisions, what we need. But the reality is all of this happens because our community shows up. Our community shows up and they smile and they buy their beer and they clap and they cheer and they, yes, local. We need that to keep happening. There is no funding that can overcome that. There are no people that can overcome it. We have to have the people continue to show up and support our events and the things that are happening and give us the feedback to create what they want. It should be their events. But our community is amazing. We have a community that shows up and they show up loud and proud. And we need that to keep happening because we are right there. We are right there. So I tell everybody, bring a friend. Hey, let's double it, and that'll push us right over the top.
Right. There's two things Mike asks me to do.
Okay.
So I'm a special projects co-host. One, I do not do the Star Trek wave off because he's this over 50-year-old guy that's into that kind of stuff. But the other thing is, you were here, you left for a little bit.
Starlog 314.
She really wants a discount on that app. Breakfast, you can do it. You can do it for me. Cheryl, great. And a closet Trekkie on the show. So you bring somebody to town. They're here for one day. You take them to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and maybe one place or event.
Okay.
What's your itinerary?
Ooh, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Dinner, I'm probably going to take them to Souk. I love Chef Musa, and I've known him forever, and I just all of it. So good. The drinks are so good. Let's see. Lunch, I am likely going to Hannon's Block. They have this dressed avocado, and you can also get some with lobster on it or crab or whatever it is that they put on top of it. That is just absolutely divine, and they also have good cocktails. Guess I'm looking a little bit like a cocktail person here at the moment. Let's see. And for breakfast... breakfast. Oh, Michael's. Duh. Greasy spoon extraordinaire. Everybody goes to Michael's for breakfast. I love Michael's.
It may have been decades since I've been there, so thank you for that.
Love Michael's.
That reminder. Okay.
They have they do everything just as you ask. Could I have a 1-egg omelet instead of a 3-egg omelet? And can I have my hash browns a little extra crispy and with cheese in them and onions? The answer is always yes. I love Michael's.
Super.
Yeah.
What place you've talked about some dynamic eating establishments.
Yes.
What?
Oh, that's right. Where am I taking them? So I am going to start at the Huntington Center. with whatever the heck it is that they're doing. Because I've seen some amazing things, whether it's a concert they put on there, which is fantastic, or if it's, like Monster Jam, or they had some cowboy rodeo. They do some fun stuff there. So we're going to we are going to the hunting center, depending on what time of year it is. Hi. See, they're waving. They agree. So we're going to the Huntington Center, and then we're probably going to go to Whiskey Red, and we're going to do some line dancing because we have great country line dancing here. So we're probably going to do that. We might hit something like the Blarney after that, because Blarney, Cock and Bull, that whole area is just kind of what it is. Or we might go out to Ostrich Town, see the light show. And if it's somebody that's not into restaurants and feeding, then of course we gotta go to the Metroparks. Gotta take the dogs for a walk, go to the Metroparks, gotta get in the recreation, see the river, because, we live on a river. And it's a fantastic asset, and people should see it. And when you see those freighters come through, it's pretty wow. So it depends on the person, depends on the place. But yeah, I'd have a good itinerary. They wouldn't be bored.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Cheryl, thank you very much for being a cool person doing cool things. I would like to invite you all to come down to all these events, all these places, all these things coming. Just come downtown, take a walk along the river, check out the artwork, visit the coffee shops. There's a lot going on here. As I mentioned, I'd like Mike to be the director of innovation.
That's right.
I think you're the director of activation. And by that invite I just did there, you're connected with people. If you could get me the title director of invitation, I would really appreciate it. So thank you very much for listening and watching.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a great rest of the day.